Hello, I'm Arthur back with another NFL video. In this video, I'll be talking about the NFC South and my predictions and rankings for the 2022 season. So let's start it. And number 4, I have the Falcons. At QB, Mariota and Desmond Ritter. Mariota's kind of been like a, he hasn't started in 2 years. He was kind of a bust, number 2 overall pick. Ritter, I didn't think was a good prospect. I think Mariota will start right away. I think eventually Ritter will play this season because I think the Falcons will be multiple games behind 500, so they might as well try to see what they have in them to see if he can be the week 1 starter next year. But I think this year, week 1, Mariota will start. Cordell Patterson is, the running back slash receiver slash kick returner. He's one of their best weapons. We signed him to a favorable deal as well. Their weapons, they drafted Drake London, which I like the pick of. They traded for Brian Edwards. Olamide Zaccheaus they re-signed, so you're definitely going to see the missing impact of Calvin Ridley, but I like some of the other guys. Drake London, I think, is a great prospect. I had him as the best receiver in the class. Edwards from the Raiders, I think he's going to do more on Atlanta than he would have done with the Raiders. And Kyle Pitts, the Pro Bowler, he had over 1,000 yards last year, rolling 1 TD, so I kind of didn't hear about him until I didn't hear about him except 2 games. The one in London and one against Miami, which he did well, but he still had a great year. On the O-line, it's a pretty young unit. Jake Matthews, left tackle, left guard Jalen Mayfield, center Matt Hennessy, right guard Chris Lindstrom, right tackle Caleb McGarry. A lot of those guys are drafted recently, so see how they develop. That's going to determine how good or not good that O-line is. Jalen Mayfield, they drafted as a tackle. He's now playing guard. And they drafted Justin Schaefer from Georgia as well. Yeah, we'll see how that O-line is. On offense, I think no matter the starter at QB, I don't think this will be a very good unit. They'll feed Kyle Pitts. They'll use Cordell Patterson whatever way they can. I don't know how Drake London will do in this offense. I like the Edwards trade. There's not much else that I like here though, so I think even with Matt Ryan, this would have been a bad unit. On defense, they have Marlon Davidson and Taquan Graham, and now set up to start. It was a 5th-round pick last year. Grady Jarrett is a very good. He got a new extension, and Arnold Ebiketie is a great trade-up option from the 2nd round, who I think is going to provide a good pass rush for them. They've lacked that for multiple years. Deion Jones, a great player. Rashawn Evans, Lorenzo Carter, new pickups. I actually like that core. Michael Walker there. Nick Okowski there. They drafted Troy Anderson. But in the secondary, I do like their starting corners in Terrell and Casey Hayward. I don't really like the depth at corner besides that. And at safety, Eric Harris and Dean Marlowe, they re-signed Eric Harris. They lost Ron Harmon, who was a 17-game starter for them last season. They should be starting, I think, in my opinion, Richie Grant, who's already an older prospect to begin with. So, he's not going to have as much prime years. But yeah, I think he should be starting over Dean Marlowe and Eric Harris. That's not a very good safety duo. And Younghoe Koo is a great kicker. I think Atlanta is going to be in a rebuild, but I think they have the right head coach for it. 2019 and 2020, I kind of had high expectations for Atlanta, but they failed them. So last year, I kind of, I didn't have much expectations for them, and they actually won 7 games, more than I thought. So, yeah, I think they'll keep Arthur Smith for 3 to 5 years. They'll rebuild. They have some pieces on offense, pieces on defense. They need to re-sign Terrell in a couple of years, but I think they'll be 4th in the division. 3rd of the Carolina Panthers. Sam Darnold is still set up to be their starting QB, so that was a big, major, bad thing in the offseason. They didn't improve there. I thought after last season, there's no way that he can be starting again for them, but now he's their best option still, so yeah. They drafted Corral, but I don't think he's very good. I don't think he's going to play. I don't think he's going to start at all in year 1. So they'll just have to stick with Darnold for another year, or maybe trade for Mayfield after I make this video. But McCaffrey at running back, he's their best offensive weapon. Even if DJ Moore's great, McCaffrey is their best offensive weapon, but he doesn't stay healthy. Chuba Hubbard, they, was great in college in 2019 and 2020. He wasn't as good. And 2021 in the league, 3.6 yards per average, yards per carry. 5 touchdowns, 612 yards. So, you know, I don't really think he can be the full-time starter again. So, you know, they really need McCaffrey to stay healthy. At receiver, DJ Moore, Robbie Anderson, good unit. Maybe Robbie Anderson is gonna retire. I don't know what's going on there. They pick up Rashard Higgins from Cleveland, Andre Roberts from the Chargers, Terrence Marshall Jr., second receiver. Tight end, Tommy Tremble is set up to start over Ian Thomas. I liked him from that 2021 class out of Notre Dame. On the offensive line, they have Ika Mekwonu now. I thought he was a better guard than tackle. Or I thought he would be a guard instead of a tackle, but apparently they're gonna play him at left tackle. He's the best run blocker in this class, so that's good for keeping McCaffrey healthy. Had I finally moved to guard, Bradley Bozeman center signing, Austin Corbett signing to play guard, and signed to play guard, and Taylor Moton right tackle. So just like the Falcons, not a very good offensive line. On defense, Brian Burns, Yetur Gross-Matos, Derek Brown, Matt Ioannidis. I think Derek Brown kind of has to step up his production to meet the number 7 overall pick standards, but Brian Burns is a great player. Yetur Gross-Matos is good as well. Shaq Thomason is a very good linebacker. They have Damian Wilson and Corey Littleton now. Damian Wilson was a good tackler last year for Jacksonville, but not much else. And Littleton was very bad on the Raiders for 2 years. So I don't really know how successful that unit will be. But I know Shaq Thompson for sure is a very good linebacker. In the secondary, Dante Jackson and J.C. Horn starting corners. Jackson got a new deal. Horn played the first 3 weeks of the season before getting hurt. I think he broke his foot. He was really good, but then he got it hurt. But they saw good potential from him. 8th overall pick. I think those corners could be very good for them. That defense was very exceptional in the beginning part of the season last year. And so was their offense, and they're 3-0. But specifically, their defense was great, and their ability to get to pressure was really good as well. At safety, Jeremy Chin, Justin Burris, Xavier Woods. The secondary is good. Defense is good. I think the Panthers will be 3rd in the division. I think their offense has question marks, but I think it has their players to make the offense great on some occasions. But I think the offense still needs to find their next QB. McCaffrey, I feel like this might be his final year. If he didn't stay healthy this year, I feel like Carolina might actually be done with him and trade him. He's a great offensive weapon, but if he's not healthy, he's not helping anyone. And the offensive line, we'll see how that shakes out. On defense, they're very good, but the big problem with them is by this time next year they might have a completely new head coach, completely new QB, and they're gonna need that. Maybe Matt Rule kind of is on his final chance, and Darnold's not really gonna do anything. So not only will they need a new QB, they'll need a franchise QB, and along with them having to find a good head coach hire. So yeah, I don't think Carolina's ready to compete just yet. Number 2, I have the Saints. They re-signed Jameis Winston. They lost what's his name? Sean Payne, of course. Dennis Allen took over. He's a good defensive play caller, but I don't think he's a very good head coach. He wasn't with the Raiders for 3 years. So, but their offense, Kamara also as a weapon. They have Mark Ingram back again with the Saints. Michael Thomas is like Christian McCaffrey in the way of he's such a good weapon, but he hasn't played a full season since 2019. He's just fallen down the ranks. But I think at his best, he's really hard to stop. And I think in this offense, they'll feed him this season if he stays healthy the same way they did in 2019. So he's still a very reliable option when healthy. Marquez Callaway didn't really do anything last year despite all the hype. Traquan Smith, I don't know if they have him. They do, okay. Jarvis Landry, new signing after the draft that happened. Chris Olave they drafted. I like the addition of Landry because I mentioned in my video about the receivers. I liked Olave. I thought he would be good in the league. I just didn't know how good, and I didn't really think if he could be. I didn't really know if he could be a receiver one. So I like the fact that they got Landry to kind of take the pressure off of him. Right now he's like the 3rd option. If Thomas gets hurt, he's like the 2nd option. So I like that receiving core. it was such a big problem, in January, and I think they did a really good job addressing it. At tight end, Adam Troutman and Taysom Hill. O-line, they lost Terron Armstead. He went to Miami. They drafted Trevor Penning to play left tackle. They have Andrews Pete left guard. Eric McCoy is a good center, but they have Cesar Ruiz at right guard, and I think he's a better center than guard. So I don't think he'll be as good as guard, and Ryan Ramczyk is still a great right tackle. The offense last year kind of struggled with consistency. I liked how they used Kamara as a rusher and receiver, but outside of that, they didn't really have any consistent force to go to. But if Michael Thomas is healthy, Olave should be good. Landry should be good. The O-line, I think, got a little worse, but I think should be still probably a top 10 unit. I don't think they're an offensive team anyway in general, but I think their offense is going to compete a lot more in these close games. On defense, Cameron Jordan, he's really up there in age, but he's still out there balling. Shai Tootle, I don't know who that is, but David Onyemata, Marcus Davenport are good options also. The D-line, the Saints, no matter how bad they'll be, they could be a 1-win team or a 15-win team. They'll obviously have a good run defense, so I think they'll do that again this year. Pete Warner, Demario Davis, Zach Bond. Demario Davis, they gave an extra year on his deal too. Pete Warner is like a smaller type linebacker from Ohio State, and Zach Bond hasn't really played much on defense. It's being drafted, so maybe this year will be his chance. At the secondary, Marcus May, new signing. Tyrann Mathieu, new signing. Daniel Sorensen is like the third safety. He's not very good, but he is there. CJ Gardner-Johnson is the slot. Marshawn Lattimore is one of the corners on the outside. And Paulson Debo is the corner on the other side. Besides the last guy named, that seems like a very good unit in the secondary. To be honest though, from the Saints stuff that I was watching from last season, Paulson Debo was getting burnt way too much. But he was in his first year, so maybe he'll improve a lot more. They lost Marcus Williams, but a lot of great additions to that secondary. The defense should be very good. I think they'll have the rushing defense to slow down teams, the passing defense as well. Peyton Turner in there as well. I think he's going to be key to them getting some more pressure. So yeah, the Saints team is good, playoff contention worthy. I thought this team was screwed with losing Sean Payton, the bad salary cap situation, but they've done a lot to be at a good contending team right now, and I think they have it on paper. I think the Saints will be the second best team in the division next year, and I think they will have a top 10 defense, top 15 offense, and maybe, who knows, Sean Payton will come running back. And number 1, I have the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Brady's back. That's not very good for Kyle Trask, but it is good for the Bucs and their future. Well, maybe not their future, because he'll be there for like 1 more year, but for how they'll do this year. Leonard Fournette, I wasn't a very, very big fan of, but I think he's better than I first thought he was with Tampa. But Rashad White, they drafted. Keyshawn Vaughn, they drafted a couple years ago, and Giovanni Bernard make up a very good room. I think Fournette's got some options behind him as well that can play as well, so it's not just like so reliant on him to run the ball. Mike Evans, Chris Godwin, still one of the best receiving duos in the league, although Godwin's coming off a torn ACL. They signed Russell Gage, kind of an interesting signing. You thought they had enough pass defense, and they gave $10 million a year to Russell Gage. Tyler Johnson, Rashad Perryman, Scotty Miller. The pass defense will be very good. I don't know. The pass offense will be very good. I don't know, how much it will change really. They'll just dink and dunk with Brady. Defenses won't be able to stop it. And no one will be able to stop. Most teams won't be able to stop their offense. At tight end, Cameron Brate, they have 2 drafted rookies as well. They lost Gronk and they lost O.J. Howard. On the offensive line, Donovan Smith, great player. Aaron Stiney at left guard, I don't really know who that is. Center Ryan Jensen, right guard, Shaq Mason, and right tackle Tristan Wirfs. Maybe drafted rookie Luke Goedeke could start. But besides that, this is still a very good offensive line. They lost They lost Alex Kappa to the Bengals. They lost Eli Marpet to retirement. They traded for Shaq Mason. They drafted Luka Decky. So that's kind of their, movement there. But overall, just going to be a very dominant group. On defense, Akeem Hicks, they added to replace Ndamukong Suh, who's still a free agent, Vita Vea, William Golston, Joe Tryon-Shoyinka. He's going to kind of take over for Jason Pierre-Paul. They drafted Logan Hall, and just like I said about the Saints, I think Tampa Bay will also have a great run defense again. Devin White, Lavonte David, and Shaquille Barrett definitely also help that factor. They're great. Shaquille Barrett's an outside backer, more of a rusher, but then they have Devin White and Lavonte David as their two inside backers. And then in the secondary, Jamel Dean, Sean Murphy-Bunting, they re-signed Carlton Davis. They signed Logan Ryan, signed Keanu Neal, drafted Zion McCollum. I think the secondary should be good. I don't think it's a very special secondary. I've said that about their defense for a couple of years now. They have a very good defense. I think their secondary is kind of, not as good as some people think it is, but they still have some good players. Carlton Davis, I think, is a legit corner one. Antoine Winfield Jr. is a really good safety, even though sometimes I don't really like him. I think he catches a lot of tipped interceptions. So. And Logan Ryan has, been a consistent safety for Tennessee and the Giants in recent years. So on defense, they're going to be very good. On offense, they'll be very good. Same Tampa Bay team that's been the last 2 years. I think they'll be in contention for the Super Bowl. They'll be potentially the NFC's 1 seed, although I think the Rams will be better than them. Tampa Bay still a hard team to deal with. Bruce Arians is still in the front office now, not as a head coach. Todd Bowles is their head coach now. He was a head coach before with New York, but the Jets, that is, but not much success. And he's a good defensive play caller, as we know. So, they're not really going to try anything new and pull in a new guy. They just took a guy they already had in their front office, in their coaching staff, and just put him out there as head coach. So, yeah, I think Tampa Bay won the division. That was me talking about the rankings and my predictions for the NFC South for the 2022 season. And thank you for watching.